experimental observations in microgravity.
Mm-hmm.
Project Poseidon, which is an underwater mission, and then there's also an astronaut selection going on in Canada through the Canadian Space Agency right now. So Project PoSSUM basically is a citizen scientist outfit, astronaut outfit, and the basic requirements are you have to have a background in the STEM field, so science, technology, engineering, medicine. Ideally, they'd like you to have your scuba diving certification and a pilot's license. I didn't have my pilot's license when I applied. I only had my basic scuba diving certification when I applied. But basically, they want to see that you have an interest and an aptitude for your work. And then from there, the training starts and gets really fun. So ground
Uh-huh.
school is 4 to 5 days, takes place at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona, Florida. And
Uh-huh.
there you learn all about the science of the mission that you're being asked to, you'll be asked to carry out. And PoSSUM centers around the noctilucent clouds, which form way up in the upper mesosphere, 80 to 100 kilometers high. And the reason we care about those is because they're thought to be a relatively new phenomenon, only occurring since the mid 1800s.
Oh.
And they're thought to be related to global warming. And so, because they're so new, because we're still trying to understand, the extent and the rate of climate change, any information is good information. So PoSSUM specifically aims to send citizen scientists up in suborbital spacecraft. So when companies like Virgin Galactic, X-Core Lynx get going,
Uh-huh.
we have a mission to go up and capture various data parameters around these clouds. So everything from videoing them in high resolution, capturing atmospheric samples, making sure that we have pictures. So there's very specific mission objectives to achieve over a 20-minute flight.
Wow.
Oh, it's really exciting. And plus the people you train with are just really, really awesome people.
Awesome. What sort of quality do you think you folks share that makes you ideal astronauts?
We're all so excited about space. I mean, I am still in touch almost daily with my friends from PoSSUM that I've met
Mm-hmm.
through the various classes. Um, and everyone loves space. Everyone dreamed of being an astronaut when they wanted to be a kid. Everyone's just so excited about discovery and exploration. There's a lot of commonalities. It's really easy to make friends amongst that group.
Sweet. So why do you have to be good at scuba diving? Is it like regulating oxygen or dealing with being isolated from the environment or?
That's a good question. So there's a bunch of parameters I think that come into play. So the other part of the training is you have to be able to act in a fast-paced, high-moving, almost high-risk environment. So part of our training, we were put into hypobaric hypoxia chambers, and they slowly took down the oxygen content of the chamber, and we had to kind of gauge our own reaction while flying a flight
Wow.
simulator. Because if that happens during the flight, it's not the dramatic fast decompression you see in movies where you don't
Yeah.
stand a chance of survival. You have a chance, if you recognize your symptoms, to slam on your oxygen mask and then fix the problem.
Wow.
So
That's
you're in this confined space. There is potential for danger.
mm-hmm.
You have to be able to react quickly and make good decisions in tough situations. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where the scuba diving comes into it, and the piloting as well.
Yeah, wow. So you're going into on a suborbital flight, that's correct?
Yeah, yeah. And 2018 is when we're first slated to fly, barring any delays. And I always add that just because of, that's kind of the way the space industry is sometimes.
Yeah. If you were to go beyond suborbital regions,
Yeah.
what like planet would you love to see out your window?
Oh my gosh.
Or other body? Maybe a
All of
nebula.
so I definitely think Mars exploration is very big
Yeah.
on the forefront of everyone's minds right now, both with SpaceX and Elon Musk, making very significant plans to go there. And then even if you look at the plans of the big space agencies, NASA, for example, during their astronaut selection this past fall, intimated that their astronauts should be ready for long duration
Oh,
missions to
wow.
other worlds. So Mars definitely is up there. It's the moon landing of our generation for sure. So that's really exciting.
Do you think you would go if you couldn't come back? I'm sure everyone asks you this. I'm sorry, but I'm curious.
Yeah, you know what? I would go because you're furthering humanity's reach beyond this planet. You're furthering our knowledge. You're helping us diversify and achieve as a race, and to be a part of that would be amazing. And it's kind of scary when you start thinking about the minutia of never seeing your family again, never seeing
Right.
your friends again, never seeing your pets again, never having a Starbucks again. Um,
Ah.
that's kind of the you really have to go through that thought experiment. But on the other hand, I mean, it's not like it hasn't been done before. When people came to the New World, and it was settled, you had pilgrims, you had people who wanted land. They were leaving Europe and coming over to North America, and you know, leaving everything behind, and there was no going back. So, it's been done before in human history. It's not necessarily easy, but then that's not why we do these things.
Yeah, it'd be quite a legacy.
It would be beyond amazing. The skill set you would have to have, the type of person, and explorer you'd have to be. It was just really, really, you know, amongst the best of the best. And if
Yeah,
someone trusted me with that mission to represent not just my country and not just a mission, but pretty much all of humanity in a heartbeat, I would absolutely take it.
yeah. So is Project Possum just a Canadian thing or is it international? Like what
It's very
organization?
international. So it's the lead investigator is Dr. Jason Reimuller.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who kicked things off. He used to be a NASA researcher with the Constellation program, but he has his PhD in aeronomy and upper atmospheric science, and he saw the opportunity for Possum, first of all, for the science to be done, but then also to
Mm-hmm.
engage the community at large. And so he applied for the Possum Project through a NASA Flight Opportunities Grant,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole nonprofit was born. So it's based in the States. They're based out of Boulder, Colorado, but the program is very international. Obviously, lots of Americans. There's a few Canadians who make an appearance. There's German. There's a few from Latin America, an Egyptian. So it's slowly becoming more and more international, which is really wonderful. And everyone's just so smart and so excited and just so fun to be around. So Possum has been a fantastic experience. And there's been more training courses that have come out that I've attended that have been just so stimulating.
Uh-huh.
It is really exciting.
Uh-huh. Our audience is mostly people who are looking to build, who at least are interested in DIY hardware and technology and electronics. I was curious, if you've come across any piece of space tech, like space industry tech, that you would want to take home and use. Can you imagine what that would be?
Um, When thinking of the companies out there, I mean, it's nothing that the audience probably hasn't heard of before.
Uh-huh.
So one of them is Space VR, and their whole
Yeah.
mandate is yeah, I think I actually saw them covered on your website. Their whole mandate is to bring space, to the earthbound, and they're using, VR, virtual reality technology to bring that there. So I think, anytime you can play around with that and be submerged in that type of environment, and then Made in Space, and I think they were also profiled.
Yeah.
Bringing 3D printing off world, but the potential and the fun you can have with 3D printers here on Earth in 1G is
Yeah.
just as great. So I think those are two big pieces. And then uh, if someone were to invent a jetpack, um, that would be really neat too.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
Well, if you're into diving, maybe you can get like while you're out on the water, you can try one of those ones that uses the, propelled water at the bottom or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, like a dive propulsion vehicle. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are fun.
Have your physician skills come into play other than like dealing with emergencies and stuff? Does he feel a leg up?
Yeah, it has. A little bit, not so much as a physician per se, but really when you talk about long duration missions and analog missions, um, you really need to be resourceful. And so as a physician, you need to be a medical MacGyver. So I've started training as a fellow of the Academy of Wilderness Medicine just recently. And so basically, some of the courses I've done, some of the courses I've ran have been incredibly fun. Basically, you're kind of chucked into the wilderness with a very diverse group, and the scenarios can be as wild and crazy as you've just been mauled by a bear, you've broken your femur, all you have are branches and your sweater and your jacket and a bunch of clothes, so make a traction splint and you have to kind of MacGyver a solution.
Wow.
So that's been really fun, and I'm really honing those skills and also hoping to teach others to hone those skills. So it hasn't happened yet, thankfully. We haven't been mauled by a bear or anything in the wilderness.
And hopefully not in space either.
Hopefully no space bears.
They've got
But no.
what are those called? Water bears, the tardigrades. You might run into some of those, but I don't think they'll really maul you much.
Yeah, hopefully they won't be a threat.
Cool. Well, what about if you had to bring an alien home? Do you have one you would pick?
Do I have an alien I would pick? So many to pick from. I mean, the little green guys in Toy Story were pretty adorable.
They're pretty good.
Um, they're pretty awesome. There's E.T., always a favorite.
Mhm.
Roger the Alien from American Dad. Kang and Kodos, that would be my pick,
Awesome.
for
I don't
sure.
think I'm familiar with that guy, but I'll have to look it up. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Is there anything you'd like to add before we sign off?
Uh, Not at all. I'm always happy to share my passion about space. So thanks for having me on the show. If anyone wants to tag me on Twitter and has any questions to follow up on, I'm just at Shawna Pandya. So happy to talk to you there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.